This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Kicking off hour 2 here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM channel 158. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Stormy Buonantony, live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino, alongside former NFL offensive lineman, betting analyst Geoff Schwartz, who's holding it down on the East Coast, coming up in 15 minutes. Joining us here in studio at Circa, VP of Operations at this fine property, Mike Palm, going to help us break down the NHL postseason. He is very passionate about a few things. Also, of course, the NFL draft. Oh, yeah, you're going to love it. Trust me. He's spicy right now. And of course, yes, the NFL draft. We'll have our best bets at the end of the hour. But let's start with the draft, Geoff, because chalk took hold at the top, as we expected, with Cam Ward going number 1 overall, Travis Hunter 2, Abdul Carter 3, Will Campbell 4. Although, of course, that number 2 overall pick did not go to who we thought it would, with the Jacksonville Jaguars making a big trade with the Cleveland Browns. And now, as we lead into round 2 of the draft, with only 2 quarterbacks selected, them being Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, the big question on everyone's mind is, where does Shedeur Sanders ultimately land? And that Browns team, who traded down, has currently the number 33 overall pick. What do we think they do with it?
I don't think the Browns draft Shedeur Sanders. I really don't. There's no indication they've liked him this entire process. You know, coming out of the pro day where they sent the entire contingent to Colorado, it wasn't that the Browns like Sanders, it was the Browns loved Travis Hunter. Like, that was the story that came out of it. And you look at, again, like they could have just taken him, in my opinion, at 5. If they loved him that much, take him at 5, right? You think give me your franchise quarterback, take him at 5. And they didn't do that. You know, I could see a team trading up to 33 and saying, hey, we want Sanders immediately. Maybe that's New Orleans. Maybe that's Pittsburgh. But to be fair, Stormy, the list of teams that need quarterbacks now is very minimal. Like immediate starting quarterbacks. The Saints, but they passed on Sanders already. The Steelers and the Giants don't need one anymore. And the Browns, to me, signaled with their draft pick or their draft trade, I should say, that they're not committed to a quarterback this year. They want more picks for next year when the quarterback class is going to be better. And I want to tell you something quickly on Sanders. So the NFL will tell you what your worth is by where you're drafted. You might not like it. I was 7th round pick. I certainly didn't like being told I was 7th round pick, but that's the draft, right? And so there's nothing more than what it is, which is the NFL teams have evaluated Sanders. They looked into all the things that surround him, including obviously his dad. I think that mattered minimally, to be honest with you, to the decision to not draft him. And there were not a lot of teams that were there that were even options for Sanders once you got out of the top couple of picks. It was basically Pittsburgh. And they decided to go defensive tackle and let Sanders go to the 2nd round. So I think there was a little disservice done by the media when it came to how they talked about Sanders, where when you talked or read people or listened to people with no association at all to the family, they kind of had him, 40th on their big board, 32nd, 33rd. And then you listen to other people that have him like 6th, 7th, 8th. And just, the NFL always felt like they had him a little bit lower than the media had him. It happens all the time. It's not just him. Mike Green, who's still available as a defensive end. Will Johnson, still available as a cornerback. It's not just Sanders who dropped out of the 1st round. So that's my Sanders take. It's not crazy. Like, I don't think that he dropped because of character concerns. I think his film showed there are some flaws, and teams are not willing to take a chance on a guy. With Jackson Dart quickly, he is a better athlete. Like, the Giants wanted a better athlete at that position. That's Jackson Dart.
And listen, you're right. This is the type of thing that happens, and only time will tell what the better selection is. And wherever Shedeur Sanders goes, if that ends up being a good fit for him, we'll find out on the football field who the better talent is. Yes, Cam Ward went number 1 overall, but does that mean he's going to be the best player of this class? Absolutely not. And we've seen that multiple years. Not that Brock Purdy is the best thing since sliced bread, but look what he has done as the last pick in the NFL draft for the San Francisco 49ers. So Meanwhile, Trey Lance, they had to get rid of when they traded up to pick him super high in a draft. So there are a lot of different wrinkles to this. We will find out as time goes on what the true caliber of talent Shedeur Sanders is when we get him on the football field. I do think that it was a tough look for Mel Kiper on the national stage yesterday, continuing to fight for him to be drafted in the first round. And obviously that didn't happen. I feel, and you never want to feel bad for millionaires and people that are doing what they're doing, but to an extent, I did feel bad with the social media traction and how many people were making fun of Shedeur's stance. I mean, like Coach Prime's tweet from a year ago when he says Shedeur would be a top 5 pick, talking trash to somebody who trolled him. That one tweet that's gone mega viral that Shedeur posted saying, I'm built for whatever today may bring. And football, what is it? The football grump quote tweets it and says, what about tomorrow? And obviously that ends up being the reality of the situation today. So, I feel for him, but it is what it is. And you mentioned the Browns maybe not being that fit. The numbers are moving a little bit when it comes to the odds market here. When we came on the air earlier today, the Browns were a minus 350 favorite in the which team will Shedeur Sanders be drafted by market. That's down to minus 190 right now live. The Raiders are next at plus 175. The Saints, who you mentioned, 6-1. The Steelers, Jets, and Rams all 12-1 before those numbers jump off. On FanDuel, some other movement of note, not directly to the Browns, but the pick that they're currently in at number 33 overall. Shedeur was minus 300. Now he's plus 140 to be number 33 overall. Actually, Travion Henderson, interesting move for him from plus 550 to plus 190 to be 33.
Yeah, there was a faraway shop that had Shedeur Sanders not to be drafted in the second round at plus 10,000. In the words of Kevin Malone, if you give me 10,000 to 1, I'm going to take it. They limited me to $1, Stormy. So I bet $1 whole dollar, $1 whole American US dollar on to not be second round pick. The number is two. It was last I checked before the show was plus 2,000. So some CLV, baby. Let's go. I think he does get drafted today. But hey, 10,000 to 1 for that I thought was not a bad wager. I tried to put more than $1 on it. Wasn't allowed. So I think he gets drafted today. But again, the question is fair. Like who? I also bet Pittsburgh at plus 1,400 this morning. I did I think a tenth of a unit. Like again, these are draft wagers, right? We're not spending. I don't think I bet a full unit on any draft wager. I just fundamentally don't agree you should do that. It's your choice if you would like to. But again, I think Pittsburgh still makes a lot of sense. You have to think about the teams that need quarterbacks. The Saints, I don't think need one right now. Pittsburgh sort of does still.
Speaking to that, another quarterback who gained some late steam in the process that people did apparently like was Jalen Milroe from Alabama. And those same teams that we mentioned for Shedeur are obviously the top of the odds board for Milroe to be drafted by. The Browns are a plus 200 favorite, Steelers plus 300, Saints plus 350. So all of them very much so paired in at the top. And then the Raiders plus 550, Jets plus 650, Rams 9-1. A couple other things that we didn't get to in hour one when we were discussing the draft that I think are worth noting. Kelvin Banks Jr. had all that steam, went from 23.5 as his over-under draft position to 13.5. It kept climbing. There was all the talk about him at 6. Nobody I saw had him going 9, where the Saints end up picking him up. He was at close, plus 850, sixth guy on the board to go to New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm not surprised they drafted offensive line. I think we're all a little perplexed by the player. I didn't know what had this. I think that we thought if Membu was there maybe at 9, that would be a selection. But look, the Saints declined the 5th-year option on Trevor Penning, and they spent a pick on Fuaga last season. And I mentioned this yesterday, and it's worth repeating. So teams rank their players, right? 1 through 300. And I think in this draft, once you got past the Genty, Hunter, Abdul Carter, those 3 guys, there's a lot of grades that are very similar. And you look at position of need, you look at where you're drafting, you say to yourself, we cannot find a Calvin Banks Jr. in the 2nd or 3rd or 4th round. Let's take him now and go defensive end, pass rusher in the 2nd round, like the cornerback in the 2nd round, 3rd round. Like I think that's the way they looked at this draft. And it's why the Cowboys and then took Booker at 12. It's just like we got to get a guy now. There's not going to be guys later. Let's just get out of the way.
One other thing that I didn't expect was Teteroa McMillan going to Carolina at 8. Yesterday, he was as high as plus 310 to be a top 10 pick, closed an odds-on favorite with a lot of that steam coming in. And now Bryce Young has T-Mac, Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, Chuba Hubbard in the running back room, Enrico Dowdle, Jonathan Brooks, obviously the injury, but like there's a lot of power behind him in the way that the Panthers upgraded that offensive line. I don't know what T-Mac is going to be, but we know the raw talent is certainly there. So I'm sure that Bryce Young, somebody he's been passing with already in the summer, is excited about that selection. Real quickly, everybody remember, with the NBA and NHL postseason underway, there's no better time than the playoffs to check out all the sharp plays at sharpplays.com, where real bettors go to get ahead. Since 2011, Sharp Plays has been locked in on what the real pros are betting, bets that are actually moving markets. When you sign up, you'll get access to not only the plays, but all of the Sharp Plays powerful AI tools and betting reports, plus real-time alerts and updates through email or X. But most importantly, betting logs, live and available each and every day on the site. Don't take our word for it. Check the receipts. Check it out for yourself when you head over to sharpplays.com. That's sharpplays.com. Still to come here on the program, I mentioned Mike Palm is going to join us coming up next, VP of Operations here at Circa. He has thoughts on two teams this NHL postseason he says need to make changes. One that should just blow the whole thing up. So I'm not going to reveal who that is just yet, Geoff, but it got me excited when he sent me that text earlier.
I can't wait to talk to Mike. Did you see, very quickly, and we have 30 seconds here, the Washington Commanders did a draft day, Kevin Costner, with their general manager supposedly writing down like Josh Connerly or nothing.
I didn't. I love that.
Yeah, go to Commanders social media at Commanders.
Okay. I'll look
Still
at that
terrible. They go back to football team. Go back to football team.
Also, though, I can't believe I didn't even say this earlier. How perfect, after all of our draft day, the movie conversation yesterday, that it's the Browns and the Seahawks and the Jaguars that make the deal ultimately at the top of the draft. And it's the rookie GM, the young GM. Oh, what an opportunity missed from me earlier. We'll be right back. Mike Palm next.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're cruising here on Hour 2 of Money Moves on a Friday, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, Channel 158. He's Geoff Schwartz. I'm Stormy Buonantony. Very excited to be joined now live here at Circa Resort and Casino with the VP Operations of Circa, Mike Palm. And we were just talking in the commercial break briefly about the NFL draft and if anything surprised you. And even though chalk prevailed at the top names-wise, obviously there's a big trade that was significant for you guys at the book.
Well, it all comes down to basically we pushed, but we lost Graham under 5.5. And I don't think if they don't make that trade that he goes fifth. So that was basically the draft for us. But like, I think on our best day we would have won 2,500, and our worst day we would have lost 20K. I mean, we had really limited the liability because of the way we booked it, just listing the 21 players and their positions and moving odds and moving. And so we really didn't have a big sweat, which was good because we've lost six figures on this draft most years. So to lose 4K feels like we picked up 100,000.
Do you think you'll see people come in the next week or so on NFL win totals based off the draft, or do you think nothing really changed people's opinions?
See, I don't think so. And I don't think anything really moves. I think if a veteran's moving via a trade will move a number or the juice more than just who somebody drafted. A singular rookie is going to move anything, maybe 5 cents one way, maybe if somebody likes what somebody did. But is it going to have an immediate impact too? Some of these guys aren't, going to have an immediate impact on the season.
Do you have any strong opinion on the Shedeur Sanders of it all? Because that's kind of the big conversation topic coming into round 2 is where does he fit? Where does he work? Because do the Browns like him?
I think maybe Geoff makes a good point about the Steelers still don't have a quarterback. Do they take a shot? I don't know. I mean, this was a really weak quarterback draft. I'm not sold on Dart. I mean, if you watch the Florida, he threw 3 interceptions in a minute in the Florida game. Plus, that offense is not a pro offense. I can't get over the fact that Mississippi was 101st in red zone efficiency. That can't all just be bad Lane Kiffin play calling, right? So, And I don't know that him not going to a southern city or a dome city where he's going to be playing outside in the cold. Maybe he's a next year guy anyhow, right? He's third on the depth chart. So I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of things wrong with that Colorado offense last year. And if some teams don't want Shedeur because of all the baggage that comes with him too. It's not a positive, but a negative working against him. So I really don't know.
Mike, Stormy said you're coming in hot with some NHL takes. I want to hear your hottest NHL take right now.
I have two very strong opinions in the NHL.
I'm so excited.
And these are both about current playoff teams. One of them needs to blow up the whole situation, and one of them needs to get rid of their coach. The Knights need to get rid of Cassidy. They are playing so uninspired that just the last two games have been lifeless. And the top line of the Wild is dominating their top line. Kiprusoff's the best player in the series. Nobody wanted to believe me when I said that going in. Oh, Eichel. Forget it. Kiprusoff's better than Eichel, and they're going to continue to give Kiprusoff scoring opportunities. I don't get it. This team is you win a Pacific Division, you're going to be out as a huge shock in the first round. There's something wrong there. And people aren't going to like this either. Tampa Bay needs to blow it up. I get it. 5 finals in a dozen years.
Cooper?
2 cups. Does that team look good to you? This is 3 straight first-round exits, Stormy. They're about to get swept. And don't think this isn't personal for Paul Maurice, that Cooper did not invite him to be on the Canadian coaching staff. He should have been the first assistant. Sure. And he doesn't even get invited. Paul Maurice, okay? They looked, going into this series, another great series. One of these two teams has represented the East in the finals 5 straight years, and it's been Florida the last 2 years. You think about the skill of Tampa Bay, the finesse. Vasilevsky still voted in the players' poll the best goaltender in the game. Game 1, they come out. Florida was the faster team. You think of Florida as a forechecking team, a physical team. They were faster. Vasilevsky was terrible. Then last night he gives up a soft goal 4 minutes in, and they made it stand up the whole game. Goalie Bob was terrific. Tampa has to move on. This is 3 straight first-round exits. They got to blow up this core.
Okay, there's like 80 things you said that I want to follow up on, but I want to start with your last point about how good Bobrovsky was on the other end, too. I think that game played a lot more total-wise to what I expected to see from the jump in this series. Mm-hmm. Do you think it becomes now an under series the rest of the way?
Remember last year was a dead over series, right? A wide open first-round series. I bet the under, and I lost in the first game, and I bet the under came back and won in this game. I think these are a bunch of 2-1, 3-2 games. They should be.
That's what I think, too.
But as an under player, I'd much rather have Tampa have the puck in the zone than have Florida have the puck in the zone right now. Because Bobrovsky's been shaky. Vasilevsky's been shaky. So, but Tampa's not generating. Tampa has to be faster than this team. They're not generating odd man rushes. It's just their skill is not showing. They got to go back to the drawing board. That 12 years of 5 finals and 2 cups, great. But 3 straight first round exits, it's time to move on. I'm not saying move on from Cooper. Okay. I'm saying blow up this nucleus.
But to go back to your Vegas Golden Knights point, I am pretty stunned at how poorly that top line has played, that Mark Stone and Jack Eichel have just not shown up. And as a team defensively, you're dead on. They have a Kirill Kaprizov and a Matt Boldy problem right now. They're doing whatever they wanted. And so what I was saying to Dave Gosher, because we had him on the program yesterday, the TV play-by-play man for the Golden Knights. He was
former coworker.
My former colleague, yes. Mm-hmm. He was kind enough to come on with us yesterday. And I was asking, is this a Wild team that we just underrated because of the injuries that they had the back end of the season, and they're getting healthy at the right time, and they're back to that version of the team? They started the season wonderful. Kirill Kaprizov missed a golden opportunity to be a Hart Trophy winner if he was healthy this year.
They're finally healthy. They're a good road team, so I knew they could steal one of these first 2 games. This is do or die tomorrow. And they come back with 150. How can you not take Minnesota again? They're the hungrier team. The top line is dominating right now. And, I mean, you pull Aiden Hill last night, there's problems there. But like my friends were texting me, what's Cassidy doing? How can they let Kaprizov have all these scoring opportunities? That's the one person you have to defend. I want to make one other note before we go about a situation in baseball today.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys have really followed this, though. So the Angels, off this home series with the Pirates, right, now travel to Minnesota to play the Twins. Instead of playing like everybody else does when they have to travel on Thursday to a Friday road site, a day game yesterday, the Angels played a night game because they wanted that night gate. And the players are furious. They've been talking about it all week. They get done playing at 10:30 last night. and now have to fly across the country to Minneapolis to take on the Twins in a 4:40 game today. Just think about that from a handicapping perspective, but also from an organizational and morale perspective.
So Twins, are you laying 205 though on the Twins? Or are you going just run line? Or Angels team total under?
I played the run line. I never lay more than 160 in baseball. That's just a rule for me. It's too random.
Plus 105 on the run line, I see right now.
Mm-hmm. I was even money when I got it, so there's a better number right now. But and I'm not a Pablo Lopez guy either, but Kendricks was so bad, obviously, last year with the Cubs. But yeah, even with this AAA lineup of the Twins, I think you got to take a shot in this travel spot. Yeah,
it's always nice when you can find those situational spots on the card. A ton of games today. Was there anything else that you liked?
I'm very interested in this Cubs-Phillies series because I think the Phillies probably have the pitching edge in all three games, but the Cubs have been bashing the ball. They scored the most runs, the best run difference. Can Colin Ray keep up what he's doing? He's been terrific for the Cubs. Hasn't given up a home run all year. Third most innings without giving up a home run of a starter. I'm interested to see him pitch today. And then, of course, tonight, Skeens and Yamamoto. These are the top two in the Cy Young. I don't know how Yamamoto's not the favorite. I mean, it's just lingering because Skeens was the preseason favorite. Yamamoto's been the best pitcher in baseball so far. So it's tough to bet under 3.5 in the first 5, but it's tempting.
Yeah, Geoff, I was just saying earlier that Yamamoto K-prop today, it's like juiced minus 1 million. It's just it's juiced to high heaven, and they are going to be every time.
The guy never makes a non-competitive pitch if you watch him pitch. Even when he misses, it's really close. And these are polished guys coming over from Japan. Not Sasaki, but all these other guys come. Everybody thinks, Rookie of the Year, Minagi. 29 years old. I mean, they're polished. They've pitched 6, 7, 8 years in professional baseball.
And the ball does not travel well in Los Angeles at night.
No.
So that plays a role in this as well. Like you just hit the ball and it just dies in that cold air in Chavez Ravine. I've been in many games there and just you see it all the time. The ball it looks like it's going out and then it's 7 feet short of the warning track. So that also plays a role in potentially the under in this game.
And hey, before we let you go, I know you guys have a pretty sweet deal that's going on here at Circa. What can you tell us about it before we hit the break?
It's our all-in special again. The age where everything's an add-on fee, just a flat $400, get you 2 nights at Circa. You either book it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You get a day bet at Stadium Swim, $100 food and beverage credit, $100 beverage credit at different bars. And so you're getting back a lot, right? You're like paying $100 a night for a room is basically it.
And I think, the beverage credit, the time at Stadium Swim, everybody that, if you don't know anything about like where to watch a game in Las Vegas, everybody on Twitter knows about Stadium Swim.
I have to tell you, we had our first Beyond the Booth sale with Mitch and Paul, a young man from John, I won't say his name, John R., doctor, born in Buffalo, practices in Dallas, but he brought his girlfriend and his friends and Mitch and Paul and I, and we stayed for the whole draft last night up there. It was just awesome.
That's unbelievable. Nice. You guys got to check it out. CircaLasVegas.com, $400 all in. Don't miss it. Appreciate Mike Palm joining us. When we come back, talk a little bit more hockey and NBA playoff action we got coming up tonight.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Lines are on the move in the NBA 3-game slate. Tonight as the playoffs roll on in round 1. Back here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, alongside Geoff Schwartz, Stormy Buonantony with you. This Boston-Orlando game opened 5.5. We're down to a consensus 3.5 point spread now with the unlikely determination for Jason Tatum, questionable on Drew Holiday. Indiana, Milwaukee, we see that one bet up from the Milwaukee Bucks favored by 3 out to 5.5. There's even a 6 out there at Caesars and a couple sports books. And then in the Lakers and Minnesota Timberwolves series, LA opened a 2.5 point dog. They're now getting 3.5 right now, depending on where you look. And we're seeing some total movement as well. But any of those spread line movements, Geoff, that caught your attention?
Well, obviously the Celtics one. I mean, if Brown's not playing and Holiday's not Brown, Tatum's not playing, Holiday's not playing, that obviously changes what they can be. And so, look, I think one of the things to do here is Peyton Pritchard over rebounds and assists is a little bit more than usual. It's 18.5 right now. He had 19 points in game 1 and 3 assists. He had 14 points and no assists in game 2 to knock it over the 15.5 there. He'll play a lot today, and he'll be shooting the ball a lot today, and he'll be in charge of the offense a lot today. I think the under, Stormy, is still in play here. I know it's super low, but when you watched Boston the other night. A lot of their offense was Jaylen Brown dribbling for 22 seconds and then taking a shot at the very end of the shot clock. That's not an efficient offense. And now you take away Holiday, who's able to dish the ball, offensive rebound, score when he has to. It does open up the opportunity, in my opinion, for some shooters, for Hauser to get some more attempts as well, as not shoot the ball terribly well, and for Peyton Pritchard here to be or to have a big role in this game. So I think Pritchard's a way to play this one tonight if you're looking for a player prop. And then I just think that, again, the first quarter, I would lean toward Magic here, coming out fast, down 0-2. I was tepid about betting the Grizzlies last night in the first quarter. Then we talked about this on the show. It wasn't one of my best bets. I ended up doing it because I hit a draft wager, and I was like, let's throw that unit on this one, and ended up hitting pretty easily, right? Like, I think that's a good way to play some of these games.
I was looking at another prop as well with the Celtics, just because you Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown both questionable, so they're dealing with a little something. No Jason Tatum. I think Derek White could be somebody who steps up here too. Game 1 had 30, was 7 of 12 from 3. Game 2, 17, 3 of 10 from 3, which was a bad game for him. He's probably, in reality, somewhere in the middle of that right now.
Yes.
His points prop that I bet earlier this morning was 16.5, and I played that. But I mean, the 3-pointer market could be interesting too. I think that when you have a game like this where key cogs are out, other guys have to rise to the occasion in some way. And so, yeah, to your point though, I think that there's opportunity on the board for a handful of different angles on this game.
The other one I like, I'm actually going to probably find this number right now. Caldwell Pope was atrocious last game. He was 1 for 9 in the field, 0 for 6 from 3. He scored 3 points. He does not average a ton of points, but I did this the other night with Hunter. I did it the other night with Hardaway Jr. 2 nights ago with the Heat. Like, just taking, again, role players who don't play well on the road, come back home, and they tend to have better games. So that's, I think, another way to play. I actually might make that wager right now. I was looking at this right now. That feels like a spot. Again, the zigzag theory, I'll play in the postseason. His total right now for points I'm seeing here is going to be Caldwell Pope 7.5. Like that to me that's a 3 and 2 layups, right? 2 threes a layup. Yeah. Like that feels very, very doable.
I 100% agree. The total in this game, by the way, also seen a good tick down. We mentioned it earlier. This was a total that opened sub 200 at 198.5 and has taken nothing but under money to this point. There are still 197s out there, but 196, 196.5, the consensus number. I even see a 196. So this thing is continuing to be on the move toward the under. How about Pacers Bucks? The Bucks really need to show some signs of life as the series shifts home for them. It's the second game with Damian Lillard back. And obviously, game 1, I don't know about you, but I personally was surprised at how many minutes he actually played in that game. I thought that there could be a minutes restriction. He ends up playing 37, only has 14 points, 4 of 13 from the floor, though, 2 of 8 from 3. He goes under the 17.5 points prop that genuinely I bet that day because of the potential for minutes restriction. Because of that, though, I think game 2, he gets his feet under him a little bit more because it's been the Giannis show only. He needs some support. I think this could be a game where Damian Lillard steps up. So I bet his over 22.5 points today, even though that number has gone up. I think he shows up in this spot at home. And we discussed earlier a similar thought process of getting out to a fast start at home, down 0-2 in this series. I loved what you said earlier about the -2.5 early on in the first quarter.
Yeah, I put a 1.5 units on that one. Look, the Bucks they won a championship recently. Like they don't have the same pieces per se, but they have that championship mentality, right? And it's a home game tonight. That crowd's going to be raucous. It's just going to be. They're down 0-2. The crowd's not going to lose hope or faith. And the Pacers do play well with that core group, especially at home early in games. They tend to get out to big leads. It's on the road. And look, Halliburton. There are sometimes he's just inconsistent. And, he didn't shoot the ball terribly well in game 1. He shot it not much better game 2. He was 3 for 10 from 3, but this does feel like a spot where, Halliburton starts a little bit slower. The Bucks get home here, and the lower point's important. I'm not on his props tonight, Stormy, but the mindset makes a ton of sense. But also, again, like game 2 back, off the blood clot. Like, he's going to play better.
Yep.
Excuse me. Got so excited to talk about this. They're going to start faster. And so I think that's the way to play this game. Because I think the Pacers can certainly make a run at some point in this game to make it closer and maybe cover the 5.5, but not early on.
Yeah, no, I'm in complete agreement with you. And it's interesting. We know that, like, you don't make a bet exclusively based on bet splits ever, but they do tell a story at times, and I'm looking at the betting splits for DraftKings right now, which is a public book, and you're getting money from all over the country. The bets that are coming in on this game have a slight edge to the Bucks. 53% of the bets coming in, 74% of the bets on the Pacers. 92% of the money is coming in on Milwaukee. Here at Circa, 79% of the bets, so, a higher ticket count here. 99% of the money is on the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah. That's why this thing has gone up from 3.5 to 5.5. We're seeing sixes. I see as high as 6.5 in the market, although that's juiced to the on the Pacers, so that's going to go the other side. But worth noting, this line is on the move because a lot of people are thinking the Bucks got to have it in this spot. It can't be the Giannis show. Some role players are going to step up. And as we have discussed, Dame Lillard in game 2, he was dealing with the blood thinning medication. He was figuring it out. It was his first game back. He didn't have a great performance, but we saw that there was no limit on the time he was on the court. So we'll see what the Bucks are able to do with that opportunity coming up tonight. How about your team? The Los Angeles Lakers series split at 1 with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They fell in game 1, 117-95, that final at home. Rebounded as we thought they would to cover the 5.5, 94-85 in game 2. And now the series moves to Minnesota.
Yeah, this again, kind of the same theory I'm going to go back to. I'm sorry for being redundant here, but I think Minnesota starts this game fast. They're back at home, and Naz Reid played really well in game 1, did not shoot the ball, got in foul trouble in game 2. I think this is sort of a Naz Reid situation. He's getting a lot of clean open looks. I like his points over tonight as well. I think the Wolves start fast this game, even though, again, the Lakers have been a first quarter team. They do start fast with Luka, but it's their first road game together with this group, Stormy, as well, which is worth noting. The first road playoff game, not first road game. They've had road games, obviously. First road playoff game. Jackson Hayes, point, rebound, assist, 5.5. I took the under. Doesn't play. If I get beat by 2 dunks and 2 rebounds, sure, I guess. But he plays less and less in this series. So I'm curious to see how the Lakers' defensive intensity is early in this game. And Ant, I'm curious about, I think I'm going to stay away from it, but everyone will be on his points props tonight. Yeah. Same theory, has not shot terribly well, looked disjointed at times. But I would stay away from that. I think every single person is going to be doing that.
Yeah, that's 26.5, the number right now, minus 115 each way on him. What do you think about LeBron? I was really disappointed. I bet his points prop over in the last game. I thought that was going to be, I thought that was going to be the day for him to break out. What do you expect from him?
I did points, rebounds, assists last game. I lost by, I think, a half point. So that's always fun. Yeah, look, at this point in his career, Stormy, they've had an extra day off, which is nice. I just don't know if he is as reliable in the point scorer category. I think as a passer and rebounder, it's always going to be there for him. But this is Luka's offensive team first, I feel like. Now, there are moments where LeBron has 7 or 8 minutes, maybe 6 minutes, where he just is LeBron, like an all-world player for that time. But I just don't think at his age he can do it for 48 minutes of being the point scorer. It's why they went and got Luka. So I think his points prop every playoff game, it's worth monitoring, but I like the total of the rebounds and assists included in that because he'll still get those.
The points number alone set at 23.5. It is juiced to minus 120, so getting played to the over. When we come back, we're ending the show the way we always do with our best bets heading into the weekend, plus an exciting announcement regarding the future of money moves here on VSiN. You won't want to miss. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Lookout weekend. We're wrapping up this Friday edition of Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, alongside Geoff Schwartz, Stormy Buonantony with you. We will get to our best bets here in a moment, but real quickly off the top, I do have a little announcement for the future of Money Moves here on VSiN. No, we're not going anywhere, but I am very excited after what has been months of having, rotating guest co-hosts, which has been so much fun. I've gotten to know, obviously, you, Geoff. We've had a great relationship for years, but to get to work with you on this stage so often has been a blast, especially during football season. Matt Brown, who comes into the studio every single week and puts up with my shenanigans, even in the commercial break. So appreciative to him. Grace Remington, Mike Somich, Ariel Epstein, Keith Irizarry, Jensen Lewis, who's now, of course, on the morning line. But I've loved working with all of you, and it's been so much fun. But we have a permanent co-host moving forward beginning on Monday. Jonathan Von Tobel will be shifting from VSiN Primetime to coming to join us here on Money Moves, and I couldn't be more excited. He has obviously been a staple here at VSiN for a long, long time. He excels in sports that I am garbage at. I'm looking at you, NBA. I'm looking at you, Major League Baseball. I think we'll be a really good complement together, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But, Geoff, this has been so much fun working with you.
Yes.
I'm going to miss doing these more regularly also. It's bittersweet.
Well, I know you've wanted the permanent host, as you deserve it. So I'm very happy for you in this show. You guys will work out well together. It's great. It's great for you, which is most important.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. And again, that will be starting Monday and moving forward, a permanent co-host. We will be the voices that you hear each and every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 Pacific. And it'll be a really, really good thing moving forward. So I'm sorry that the afternoon audience, you're not going to get him anymore on VSiN Primetime, but JVT joining the show full time with myself and producer Brian Ortega. That said, let's wrap up the day the way we always do and will continue to do on Money Moves moving forward with our best bets presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. And remember, everybody, if you are a new customer, GBank is upping the ante on the GBank Visa Signature Card. New customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases your first 90 days from the account opening, you're going to get a $250 bonus. Apply now over at vsin.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions do apply. And we're kind of going all over the board. We got different sports. We got props. We got action all over the place. So where do you want to start?
Well, look, I took Shedeur Sanders to be drafted by the Steelers at plus 1,400. I don't know if that's a best bet, Stormy, but I think that's certainly, if you're looking for some sort of way to play the draft today, that's one way to play it. I did my usual. I feigned the White Sox here. Took the A's, the run line, minus 110. I think it's out to minus maybe 115. Severino pitching for the A's tonight. Did you know they're just called the Athletics this year? There's like no city attached to them?
Yeah. I think you have to. Because they're not the Sacramento Athletics. You can't call them Vegas. Let's just stick with the A's.
It's embarrassing that baseball has two teams in minor league stadiums, but that's a show for another day. I have the Reds team total over 4.5. They play at Colorado. We talked about this many times the last 2 days. Colorado allows a ton of runs. It went over twice yesterday. The Royals played twice yesterday. It was yesterday or 2 days ago? It was yesterday, right? They played them twice yesterday. Went over both times. I like the Bucks minus 2.5 for the first quarter tonight. I like the Wolves to win the first quarter tonight. I like KCP over 7.5 points. I like Peyton Pritchard over, what did I say? Is it 18.5 points in assist, I believe is what I said there. So I think that's a sampling of most of them, Stormy. I'm trying to get them all in my head here. But that's what I'm on.
Yeah, and we were talking last segment, obviously, about those fast starts in the NBA, the Bucks first quarter, the Timberwolves first quarter, like you said. I think I'm going to tell you on the Bucks. I feel like, especially with that spread for the game moving up 5.5, 6s out there, the fact that the first quarter is still at 2.5, I think is very much so a worthwhile bet on the Milwaukee Bucks in the spot. So I'm going to come join you on that one. Just to rehash a couple of the plays that we talked about last segment. I am going to go with Damian Lillard. Hold on, let me find what that number is now still available, because I bet 22.5 on him, but it might have gone up. No, we're still 22.5, so that's good. I'm going to roll with Damian Lillard over 22.5 points in this spot, just knowing that he has that first game under his belt. He's getting conditioned. He's off the blood thinning medication now. Had a poor performance points-wise, just 14 points in the first game, but he was 4 of 13 from the floor, 2 of 8 from 3. He was shooting. he played 37 minutes. So in a must-win, really important game for the Bucks at home, he's been eased in. I'm rolling that way, as well as Derek White in the first game tonight with Celtics Magic. I think with some of these stars out and unavailable for Boston, Derek White is a guy who could step up, and I took his over 16.5 points, which is on the move now toward that over as well. I'm curious your thoughts on this hockey play.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the well with the Kings, even with this series transitioning to Edmonton at a plus money price. It's plus 125 and up. I already have the Kings in the series, but I completely agreed with a lot of the sentiment that Todd Furman was sharing when he was on the program with us earlier. I think that this Edmonton panic is setting in a little bit. Minus 148, that price tonight, I think is a little bit steep based on what we've seen from the Kings to this point. The state of their goaltending is not good. Chris Knobloch, it appears, is electing to have Calvin Pickard start instead of trotting Stuart Skinner back out there, but he was not alone in struggling. The Edmonton Oilers decor is not showing up, and the Kings are delivering. Kopitar and Kempe have been awesome. That Kings power play is really good. So getting plus 124, plus 125 or better, I think is a very reasonable value when it comes to the Los Angeles Kings tonight.
I'm with you. They've scored a ton of goals, Stormy, as we know. And look, game one obviously got very close, right? The Oilers scored, 5 goals? And obviously 3 goals in the last minute and a half, and then the Kings put one in to win. I mean, if they score 2 less, that game is a blowout too, right? Like it can very easily be a series where the games have not been close. I do like the Oilers and the Canadians to score first tonight. I like that angle you had yesterday. Can't find it at a ton of books. Some of the faraway shops, I've been able to find it a little bit better. But that does feel like, I think both teams, again, the idea, a little different in hockey than basketball, just start fast, you know? And Canadians have been outclassed too. I think they got to start fast in this game, where they have not done that so far in their series.
Yeah, and the goaltending in the series has been really good, too. Give Montembeault and Logan Thompson a lot of credit. So I think the under is in play once again here, too. 5.5. The first game we saw a 3-2 final, and that game took overtime, and Alex Ovechkin to close it out for them in OT. And then game 2 that we saw on Wednesday, a 3-1 final there. So the total, 5.5. I think the under is probably in play with the way that these goaltenders have held up to this point. And then I am also going to fire on this Canes-Devils game, and I don't need to go back to the well on Carolina. I already have them minus the game and a half in a series. I've been saying throughout the past week and a half, I think that a sweep or a gentleman's sweep is in play here. I'm very much so of the belief that, like, they say all the time it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, like in any sport, what it is. Not always. And I feel like the Devils
never
are
that
just,
case.
Yeah,
that's such a sports-ism that's just not true. Like the amount of times that we see this in football in the NFL where they play a third time, if you win the first 2 games, you're probably better than the third game too. Like yes. That's the way it is. And did it happen in college basketball where in the tournament, was it Tennessee and Kentucky, they played a third time and the same team won a third time? Like that is why they're better all 3 times.
Yeah, and I think that even with this thing going back to New Jersey, that the Devils are outclassed. I like the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't, however, trust them on the puck line. We got very lucky that late in the final minute, Carolina got that empty net goal. I don't want to go to an empty net situation. You can still get an even money price, even with the way that this money line has climbed. You can still get an even money price on the 60-minute line for the Carolina Hurricanes today. Just close this thing out in regulation, go up 3-0. Yeah. I really like that angle tonight.
Can you wager on an empty net goal?
I'm sure. I feel like if you can think it, you can bet it. I never have.
Because they've scored empty net both games. So I'm kind of like, if we think they're going to be ahead, I'm kind of curious if I'm sure you can find it somewhere. I probably just looked before I said anything.
Yeah, Geoff, get it together. Jeez.
I'm looking right now. I'm kind of seeing like what I can find here.
I genuinely don't know, and as I probably should, as someone who bets hockey as much as I do. But I'm like very specific in the markets that I usually delve into, so I don't know the answer to that question. If you do, tweet at us at Geoff Schwartz at Storm Buonantony. I'm very curious to know. On that note, this was a fun show. Thanks for hanging in the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Like nobody better to do draft coverage with, my friend. You rocked it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And hockey, of course. Yeah, to my two favorite
and hockey.
sports now.
Our new hockey expert on the network.
Yeah.
Look out, Jonathan Davis. Geoff Schwartz is coming to play.
I'm just waiting for him to post his article so I could sound smart again. I make no bones about that. He's been fantastic with that.
That's a wrap for us today. You're too much. For Geoff Schwartz, our producer, Brian Ortega, I'm Stormy Buonantony. Stick around, though. After we're done, Prop Points is coming up next. Zach Cohen giving his best bets on the NBA playoffs. Make It Rain with Adam Shine starting at 3 Eastern. And Follow the Money, Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard holding it down. Then remember, come join us next Monday. Me and Jonathan Von Tobel holding it down from here on out. Really excited.